My daughter-in-law texted, "Plans changed. You're not coming on the cruise. It's for family only." I stared at the screen. The same woman I once fed, housed, and defended now calling me not family. I didn't argue. I canceled her credit cards and vanished. That was the day peace got expensive. My name is Marjorie LaRue, and if you're old enough to remember when folks used to write thank you cards, then you'll understand the kind of woman I am. I'm 69, a widow, and I've lived in Charleston, South Carolina, most of my life. My late husband, Raymond, used to say I was the engine that kept our little train running. After he passed, I became the quiet pillar, the one who paid the bills, picked up Gavin's slack, and helped raise 2 grandbabies so their parents could chase careers. For years, I believed loyalty earned respect. Turns out, loyalty mostly earns silence once folks think they've outgrown you. Baby, let me tell you, one day you're mama, and the next, you're an extra in somebody else's story. That morning was soft and gold, sunlight sliding across my kitchen counter, coffee steaming beside the sink. I remember thinking it felt like a day worth keeping. I was folding a few shirts for the cruise, blue linen for the dinners, white slacks for the deck. Then my phone buzzed. Ophelia Vance. My daughter-in-law never called unless she wanted something, so I knew the tone before I opened it. The message said, "Plans changed. You're not coming on the cruise. It's for family only." That was it. No greeting, no punctuation, just a small digital slap. My heart didn't stop, but something in me did. I stared at those words until they blurred, then steadied myself. I didn't cry. At my age, tears feel like wasted water. I just whispered, "Well, look at that," and set the phone down. The quiet that followed had weight. You could hear the clock tick like judgment. I looked around my kitchen, the table I bought, the curtains I sewed, the framed photo of those kids wearing matching Easter outfits I paid for, and thought, I built all this, and she still managed to make me invisible. Gavin texted an hour later. "It's just easier this way. Mom, don't start, okay?" I could almost hear his voice, tired, rehearsed, avoiding confrontation like always. My boy has mastered the art of half apology. I read it twice, then said to the empty room, "You just divorced your mama's son, and you didn't even file paperwork." It's funny how quiet betrayal can be. No shouting, no slam doors, just a message and a man choosing comfort over character. I kept moving like nothing happened, washed my cup, fed the cat, checked the mail, but inside, I was taking notes. That's the thing people forget about older women. We notice patterns. We remember who paid the down payment, who covered braces, who cooked when they couldn't. I had paid for that cruise. My name was on every receipt. They wanted a vacation? Fine. I wanted proof. By noon, I decided to drive to the airport. Not to beg, never that, but to see. Charleston International was buzzing with families dragging bright luggage and talking too loud. I stood by the drop-off lane, holding my purse close, blending into the crowd. Then I saw them. Gavin pushing the cart, Ophelia in a sundress, the kids bouncing around like popcorn. They looked right through me. I could have been a stranger waiting for an Uber. "Okay, Vance family, let's go make memories," Ophelia said, cheerful, loud, like she was announcing her own brand. That line hit harder than the text. Vance family? Not LaRue? My husband's name was gone from her mouth like it never mattered. I felt something settle in me. Cold, clean, final. Not hate, just realization. I didn't wave, didn't speak. I simply watched them walk away, my heartbeat even, my mind sharper than it had been in years. I thought about every dollar tied to my name. every signature still mine. The game had changed, and they didn't know I'd just picked up the board. When a woman my age goes quiet, it's not surrender, it's inventory. By the time their ship left port, I had already opened the drawer that was going to sink them. When I drove home from the airport, the marshes looked different. The sunlight off the Ashley River felt colder, harder, like it didn't want to shine on me anymore. I kept the radio on low, but I wasn't listening to anything. My thoughts were louder. Every word of that message echoed back. It's for family only. I didn't fall apart. I just shifted gears. By the time I turned onto my street, I'd already decided. This wasn't heartbreak, it was bookkeeping. I parked, set my purse on the counter, and took off my shoes. A woman who's been through as many storms as I have knows, when you get hit, you don't react. You regulate. My mama used to say, cool the pan before you cook. That's what I did. I cooled, I filled the kettle, washed my hands, and sat down at my kitchen table. The same table I bought after Raymond passed. Solid oak. Never wobbles. I pulled a notepad closer and started listing what's mine. Mortgage, insurance, the cruise payment, the car note, the school fund. I whispered. I don't raise my voice. I raise the paper. My pen scratched steady. With every line, my back straightened. I realized I wasn't afraid of being alone. I was angry at being erased. The hallway to Raymond's old office creaked like it remembered us. His Navy photo hung crooked. I didn't fix it. The room smelled faintly of lemon oil and thyme. I opened the bottom drawer of that cherry desk and felt the familiar weight of paper. Stacks of folders, neat and patient. My proof of life. I laid them out one by one. The down payment on Gavin and Opheli's house. My signature, not theirs. The refinance. All in my name because their credit was still rebuilding. The cruise confirmation, 4 tickets charged to my card, 4, not 5. I paid for the trip I wasn't invited to. Receipts for school supplies, dental bills, a new washer. Each one whispered the same thing. You built their comfort? I stared at the paper and felt the insult bloom, not the sorrow. That girl spent my retirement, I said out loud, and then told me I wasn't family. Fixed income don't mean foolish income. I gave to keep them afloat, not to drown in their entitlement. Somewhere between their thank yous and their, of course, they forgot the difference between generosity and obligation. I started lining the documents in order, oldest to newest, across the dining table. My own timeline of disappearing. The language shifted with the years. First, could you help us? Then, we figured you'd handle it. That's how erasure starts. Soft and polite. Around the time I cleared the last bit of that mortgage, Ophelia started calling it her kitchen, her backyard, her dream home. She posed in front of the azaleas I planted, tagged Asha Vance Family Home. My name vanished even in hashtags. Sitting there, I realized that cruise wasn't about rest. It was a photo shoot. Coordinated outfits, fake smiles, the perfect Vance family narrative. She didn't forget me. She replaced me. Gavin went along because peace is his addiction. He'd rather drown in silence than swim through confrontation. I love him still. But love doesn't blind me. Baby, I said to the empty room, you can't fix a man who benefits from your absence. Morning light poured through the blinds when I met Naomi Ridge for coffee near the bank. She's been my friend since choir days, and she looked nervous, stirring her cup too long. Marjorie, she whispered, you need to know something. Then she told me. Ophelia had been telling folks, neighbors, church ladies, that I was getting confused lately, that I repeat stories, that crowds overwhelm me. That's the kind of lie that sticks to your skin. Preemptive poison. I sat back, my hands steady on the cup. So she's laying the groundwork, I said quietly. Naomi nodded. Bless her heart, she murmured. I almost laughed. No, I said, don't bless that woman's heart. Her heart don't need blessings, it needs receipts. I understood the tactic. If they can't take your money legally, they take your credibility. Once you're labeled slipping, people start speaking slower around you, deciding for you. For a black woman, memory is defense. Without it, they write you out twice, once in stories, once in signatures. So I smiled. Let her think I'm fading, I told Naomi. It'll make what's coming easier. Because fools always underestimate quiet women. I wasn't going to scream, argue, or warn. You don't announce a checkmate. You just make the move. That night, back in my kitchen, I held Raymond's old fountain pen. I remembered signing Gavin's first car loan with it. My reflection in the window looked calm, almost kind. I whispered, "They say I forget. Funny thing, I remember every signature I ever gave them." Then I picked up my phone and dialed. "Trent, it's Marjorie. Pull the file. We're done playing nice." Before their ship reached the Bahamas, I'd already called my lawyer. "Pull the file. Trent, we're done playing nice." That's the first thing I said when he picked up. And the man didn't miss a beat. He's known me for 20 years, through church donations and estate meetings. "You want this quiet or loud?" he asked, voice steady, no judgment in it. I said, "Quiet for now, but effective." There was a pause, that lawyer kind of silence where he's already picturing the paperwork. "Understood," he said. I told him exactly what I wanted. Control back, every account locked, every convenience she's been living off frozen solid. "And Trent," I added, "I don't want that woman charging another drop of sunscreen to me while she's telling people I've lost my mind." He chuckled softly, professional but familiar. "Miss LaRue, I'll handle it." When you're my age, you don't argue. You authorize. I put the phone on speaker and walked to the kitchen drawer. The scissors were right there beside the measuring spoons, the same pair I used to cut chicken backs for Sunday stew. I laid out every card I'd ever opened for family use. Gas, groceries, travel points, you name it. I didn't flinch. I picked up one, then another, and started cutting. Snip, 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 clean, calm, steady. Each cut was a decision. "That's my pension you've been playing dress up with?" I whispered. The pile of broken plastic looked small but powerful. I told Trent. "Freeze every line she touches, every auto pay in my name. If she wants to play boss lady online, she can pay her own bill." He said, "Already in motion?" I smiled to myself. "Good," I said. "Let the bank deliver the news. I'm too old to raise my voice. Now, listen, money isn't love. Money is access. If you give access to people who wouldn't stop to hug you at the airport, you're not generous. You're financing your own disrespect. I wasn't out to hurt them. Not the children. Gavin still got his own card. He'll manage. This wasn't punishment, it was clarity. Ophalie's family-only vacation was running on my dime. I figured it was time the current ran dry. Somewhere out there in the middle of the ocean. She'd swipe for another round of mimosas and hear, "Card declined." That's not cruelty. That's consequence. By morning, I was in Trent's office on Broad Street, sitting in the same leather chair I'd sat in when Raymond passed. The place smelled of old wood and paper confidence. "You got that deed handy?" I asked. He nodded, sliding the folder forward. "All in your name," he said. "No joint ownership, yet you're clear." I looked him in the eye. "Good." Draw up whatever it takes to make sure they don't have keys to something I'm paying taxes on. He tapped his pen. You could sell it in a week if you wanted. Days, huh? I said quietly. That's fast. He smiled. Money moves faster when you're the one who owns it. Then he hesitated. You know Ophelia's going to call this betrayal. I leaned forward. She called me non-family in writing. Trent. I'm just agreeing with her. He slid a stack of documents across the table. My husband's fountain pen rested between us, still gleaming like it had waited for this moment. I signed my name once, then twice. Each stroke smoother than the last. I wasn't ending a family. I was closing a loophole. By signing, I reclaimed the right to decide what peace costs and who gets to live under it. I didn't feel angry. I felt free. Walking out, the Charleston heat wrapped around me. The cicadas were loud, but I didn't mind the noise. My phone stayed on silent in my purse. I wasn't checking for messages. They called it a family cruise. By the time they come back, that family won't have a house to come back to. When I disappeared, I didn't run. I relocated the center of gravity. The night before I left, the porch light hummed low, and the ceiling fan turned lazy circles above me. The Ashley River shimmered like melted glass under the moon. My old rocking chair still moved from where I just stood up, creaking in that slow rhythm that always matched my breathing. I'd sat in that chair through hurricanes, births, funerals, and long talks with my late husband. That night, I didn't sit to remember. I stood to leave. I didn't pack much, just a weekend bag, my papers locked in a leather folder, my medicine, my keys, and Raymond's pen. People think leaving means running. No, baby. I wasn't running. I was relocating my peace. The chair rocked behind me, empty, but still in motion. Sometimes the loudest goodbye you ever give a family, I whispered, is the seat you don't sit in anymore. I turned off the porch light, locked the door, and didn't look back. That house had already stopped being mine the moment they started calling it theirs. I didn't go far. Naomi helped me find a small condo near the marsh, quiet, furnished, paid in full, no names on the lease but mine. I moved like a woman who'd planned her exit months ago. I forwarded my mail, stacked my folders neatly in a drawer, and made tea by myself that first night. No drama, no tears, just space. I knew exactly when their cruise ship would dock. I knew they'd drive home, tired but proud, ready to slide back into comfort they didn't earn. That's the thing about people who use you. They always assume you'll still be there when they return. I wasn't hiding from fear. I was hiding from guilt. Because if I saw my son's face first, I'd soften. And softness is how women like me lose every time. Guilt, I told the empty room, is the leash they use when the money runs out. When the day came, Naomi called me just after sunset. "Marjorie," she said, "they're back." I could hear her car engine idling as she watched from across the street, pretending to water her sister's garden. "They pulled up, loud as ever," she said. "Kids half asleep, still wearing those matching cruise shirts." I pictured it clear as day. Ophelia talking fast, sunglasses still on, Gavin yawning. Then they saw it. Naomi paused. The sold sign. That word hit like a drumbeat. Ophelia stopped mid-sentence. Gavin froze. They both just stood there staring, like maybe the sign was a joke. Then came the second blow. The keys didn't fit. They tried the front, the side, even the back door. Nothing turned. They started pressing that doorbell like someone owed them an answer. "Nobody home," Naomi said softly. I smiled into the quiet. "No," I told her. "Home is exactly where it belongs." Trent had placed my letter on the kitchen counter, just like I asked. He said Gavin read it twice before his knees gave out a little. The property has been sold. Your belongings are boxed and in storage for 3 months, prepaid. Access to all accounts and credit lines is terminated. Do not contact me for money. You said I wasn't family. I heard you. Simple, clear, signed in blue ink. It wasn't revenge. It was a business transaction finally balanced. I didn't tell them where I was going because I didn't owe them another map. By evening, my phone buzzed nonstop. Ophelia first, long messages, dramatic, all about her image. You made us look bad. You're ruining your grandkids' lives. People are going to think you're unstable. Every sentence was about perception, not pain. Then came Gavin. His message was shorter. Mom, can we talk? Please, the kids are upset. Even now, he tried to use love like leverage. I didn't reply. I let the phone face down on the table and listened to the silence fill the room. When you answer, you start negotiating. And I wasn't negotiating for respect. Respect is not a coupon you hand out and beg them to redeem. That night, I sat alone, lamp glowing soft over my cup of tea. My heart ached, but my hand didn't shake. Yes, it hurts, I whispered, but hurt isn't regret. Outside, the marsh hummed with crickets. Somewhere across town, my family was learning what empty really means. And while they were calling me heartless, Charleston was already talking. By sunrise, it wasn't just our business anymore. It was everybody's. Charleston is the kind of town where you can't sneeze without somebody 3 streets over blessing you for it. By sunrise, my name was already the headline on the neighborhood Facebook group. Did you hear what Miss Marjorie did? Phones buzzed, text threads lit up, and the city's grapevine bloomed like spring azaleas. Someone had filmed Ophelia screaming in the driveway, yelling that she was homeless because of a senile old woman. That clip spread faster than pollen. Within hours, it hit local gossip pages. Daughter-in-law calls mother-in-law crazy, gets evicted after cruise. You didn't need a caption to feel the irony. I watched from my small condo, teacup steady in my hand. I didn't post a thing. I didn't have to. The truth, I told myself, already knows how to travel. Sometimes you don't need to speak for yourself. The universe hits upload for you. By noon, that video was everywhere. Radio hosts were laughing about it. Talk shows debated whether I'd gone too far or finally right. My favorite headline came from a gossip site that said, "Family only cruise turns into no family home." The internet can be cruel, but that one felt like justice. Strangers started messaging me, mostly women my age or older. You did what I wish I had the courage to do. Thank you for showing us we're not crazy. I didn't answer them all, but I read every word. For the first time, I didn't feel like a villain or a victim. I felt like proof. Meanwhile, Ophelia went online trying to save face. She's declining mentally, she wrote. She's being manipulated. Her tone shook like cheap glass. The more she talked, the less anyone believed her. Sunday came, and with it, the soft hum of church bells. I walked into service wearing my yellow floral dress, pearls around my neck, and peace on my face. Folks turned when I entered. Not one whisper cut me. The same women who'd once pitied me now nodded, like they understood. Reverend Boone called me that afternoon. "Marjorie," he said, "we don't condone feuds, but this one, well, sometimes truth just walks itself out." I told him, "Pastor, I didn't feud, I finalized." Across town, Ophelia tried to tell her story to the congregation midweek, but the church ladies met her words with silence. That's the kind of judgment that doesn't need a gavel. It's quiet, but it sticks. Through it all, Gavin stayed silent. No posts, No statements, no defense, just quiet. And in that quiet, I heard something honest. Guilt has a different sound when it finally runs out of excuses. 2 days later, he sent me one text. I saw the video, I understand. I didn't reply, but I saved it. Sometimes acknowledgement is the only apology you'll ever get, and sometimes that's enough. That night, I sat by my window watching Charleston's skyline shimmer across the marsh. The world was loud outside, but inside, peace had finally found a chair. It wasn't the kind of peace that floats. It was the kind that anchors you. I smiled to myself, whispering, "Funny thing about storms, they always clear the air." Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. "Marjorie," Trent said, his voice even but low. "We have a situation. Someone tried to access your closed accounts." I didn't say a word at first, just stared out at the dark river, calm but ready. "Looks like peace," I said softly, was just the eye of the storm. When Trent called that night, I was sitting at my little dining table, still in my house shoes, robe tied loose at the waist. The marsh outside was silent except for one frog that wouldn't quit. "Marjorie," Trent said, "we have a situation. Someone tried to access your closed accounts." My hand didn't even shake. "Whose fingers were in it?" I asked. He hesitated. "IP traces to Gavin's address." I looked at the glass of water by my papers and nodded once. "So they're still trying to live off me while calling me cruel?" He asked, "Do you want to press charges?" I said no. Not yet, because I already knew what came next. "They'll show up," I told him. "And I'd rather say my piece before I sign anything." He was quiet, but he knew better than to argue. "You don't call the cops on your child," I said, "until you've told him you're willing to." Not 20 minutes later, the pounding started. 3 hard knocks. No neighbor knocks that loud unless they're bringing trouble. I stood, smoothed my robe, and walked slow to the door. I opened it just enough to see Gavin, face pale, hair messy, shirt untucked. Behind him stood Ophelia, arms folded, jaw tight. "You think this is funny?" she snapped. Not a word about me, just accusation. I opened the door wider. "Come in," I said, stepping aside. "But don't sit. This won't take long." They shuffled in like people entering a courtroom. I let them stand there under my light. Gavin started first. "Ma, this went too far. The kids are scared. Chloe cried all night." I cut him off gently but firm. "Don't hide behind them babies. Gavin, you're 41 years old. Say what you mean." His lips tightened. Then he said it plain. "We don't have a place to live." I corrected him. "You don't have my place to live." His shoulders dropped. "Mama, you know that house was supposed to be our forever home." I shook my head. "You planned forever with my money and my name on the deed. That's not family planning. That's squatting in silk." Ophelia's tone sharpened. "We had an agreement. You told us you'd leave it to us. I can get a lawyer." I met her eyes. "You can get 10, darling, and it won't change the records. That house was never yours." She stepped forward. "You promised. After the last payment, you said." I interrupted. Calm as ice. "There's no paper, no title, no trust. You were living on courtesy and calling it ownership." Her face reddened. That's when I dropped the truth. "And if you ever try to touch my money again, I'll have you charged, and I will sleep fine." The room went quiet enough to hear the AC click. Gavin looked between us, lost. I turned to him. "You left me out of a cruise I paid for. then told people I wasn't family. You called it a vacation. I call it a warning I finally heard. I reached into the folder beside me and pulled out my phone. I opened Ophelia's message. It's family only. I read it out loud. Gavin's face broke. He whispered, "Oh, did you really send that?" She started. It was out of context, but he just stared. For the first time, he saw it. I told the audience inside my own head, sometimes your child isn't blind. He's just comfortable in the dark. I faced them both. From now on, you don't speak on my name. You don't spend in my name. And you sure don't show up at my door without being invited. Gavin's voice cracked. "Mama, don't do this." I looked at him, soft but steady. "Baby, I'm not doing this to you. I'm doing this for me." After I told Gavin, "Baby, I'm not doing this to you. I'm doing this for me." The sound of that door closing followed me for days. The air inside my little rental felt heavier than it should, like grief itself had decided to rent the second bedroom. I didn't call. I didn't text. I didn't even check my voicemail. 2 days of silence, but they stretched out like whole seasons. Every hour asked the same question. "Are you sure you did the right thing?" And every time I answered, "Yes, but that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt." I fixed my coffee for one, set out one fork, one plate, one napkin. The sound of my spoon clinking against the cup echoed through the kitchen. I told myself quietly, freedom ain't free. Sometimes the price tag is your own child's voice. I had to become untouchable to them just to feel safe with myself. That's not victory. That's survival wrapped in peace. By the third morning, my loneliness had grown a pulse. I tried reading, cleaning, watching television, but nothing drowned the stillness. Then the phone buzzed. A voicemail from Ophelia. Her tone was slick, practiced. "The kids are confused," she said, voice dripping with sugar that burned. "I told them this is what happens when people act selfish," Chloe said. "So she's not really our grandma anymore?" And I told her, "No, she isn't." I replayed it 3 times before the words even landed. My knees gave out, and I sat right there on the tile floor, phone in my lap. That message didn't sound like punishment. It sounded like erasure. I pressed my palm against my heart like I could keep it from breaking. "You don't have to hit a grandmother," I whispered. "Just keep her babies away." That was the cruelest blow of all. Not the house, not the money. This. A mother's legacy turned into leverage. That night, the tears came. Not dainty ones. The kind that shake the whole chest. I pressed my hand over my mouth out of habit. Women my age were taught not to make noise when we cry. I almost broke my own rule. I wanted to call Gavin, to hear the kids, to apologize for boundaries I shouldn't have to defend. But then the quiet voice inside said, "If you call now, you'll be teaching them that guilt works." So I sat in the dark, breathing through it. If I let them buy me back with those babies, I told the walls, I'd be selling those babies the lie that love bends for disrespect. I stayed strong, but it felt like lifting the weight of the whole world. 2 more days crawled by before a text arrived from Gavin. Short, shaky. She shouldn't have said that to them. I told her, "I'm sorry." I read it so many times that my phone screen dimmed. Those words didn't erase anything, but they cracked the wall between us. It was the first time in months he didn't lead with blame. I finally typed back, "Do better for them." I stared at that line before sending it. No comfort, no softness, just truth. For the first time, I felt like he heard me not as his mother, but as a woman with limits. Later that week, I heard a knock, not a pound. Just 3 soft taps. Gavin stood outside, alone, holding a cheap plastic bag. Inside were dish soap, paper towels, Tylenol, and a half-gallon of sweet tea. It wasn't a peace offering. It was humility in plastic form. "Mama," he said, eyes glassy. I messed up. I told him to sit. He didn't move until I nodded. Then he spoke. Really spoke. "I let her talk about you like you didn't matter. I knew it was wrong, and I liked the life you gave us, and I didn't want to lose it. I'm sorry." His voice cracked on that last word, and for the first time, I saw the boy he used to be hiding inside the man he'd become. I didn't rush to forgive him. I just listened. Sometimes silence is the only language forgiveness understands. I told him, steady, "You're my son, and I'll always love you. But the way you've been living off me, that ends today." I could see in his face that he believed me this time. I laid it out like scripture. "I'll see my grandbabies on my terms, without Ophelia until she learns respect. You don't touch my money, not a penny. And if either of you does, the next person you hear from will be my lawyer. You never again let anyone tell those children I don't love them. You do, and we're done." His head dropped. He whispered, "Yes, ma'am." It wasn't defeat. It was recognition. When he left, I stayed by the window, watching the marsh shift under the moonlight. The quiet no longer hurt. It breathed with me. I was scared, not of being alone, but of what it meant to finally stop shrinking to make others comfortable. "When you stop making yourself small," I said to the empty room, "you don't just lose people. You lose the lie that you were only worth what you gave." The clock hit midnight, and my phone buzzed. A text from Gavin, a photo of Chloe and Mason asleep on an air mattress, arms wrapped around each other. "They asked if they can see you Saturday," he wrote. "Just you." I stared at that picture until the tears blurred it. For the first time in months, I didn't feel punished. I felt chosen. Freedom had cost me everything I thought I needed, but it gave me back everything I'd almost forgotten how to deserve: peace, respect, and my own name spoken with love again. Saturday came, warm and slow, sunlight spilling across the marsh like honey. I stood at my window, smoothing the wrinkles in my blouse, waiting. I wasn't walking back into their chaos, no. They were walking into my peace. At noon, sharp, Gavin's car rolled up. He stepped out first, then Chloe and Mason, holding hands. No Ophelia. That detail alone said everything. I had asked for that boundary, and for once, they honored it. I met them at the porch steps, not as the woman they used to use, but as the one who finally drew the line. "Hey, Grandma," Chloe yelled, running straight into my arms. I lifted her, inhaling the scent of sunscreen and bubblegum shampoo. "We thought you were mad at us," she whispered. I knelt, meeting her eyes. "No, baby. I'll never be mad at you for what grown folks do." Mason hugged my waist tight, saying nothing but holding on like he was afraid I'd vanish again. Inside, the house smelled of baked chicken, cornbread, and green beans with smoked turkey. Not takeout, real food, made with intention. I'd set the table with 3 plates and a little stack of crayons and watercolor paper at the end. "We're painting after we eat," I told them. "Grandma wants a masterpiece." They grinned, their small voices filling the space that had been too quiet for too long. On the counter sat printed photos of us from before the mess. Birthday cakes, Christmas lights, their little faces smeared with icing. I wanted them to remember that our story didn't start with pain. Gavin sat on the couch, shoulders slumped, phone untouched. He wasn't scrolling or sighing, just sitting, listening to his children's laughter bounce off the walls. For once, he looked like a man trying to earn his way back instead of demanding it. After lunch, while the kids painted, I motioned for Gavin to follow me onto the screened porch. The air smelled of rain and pine. I waited until he met my eyes before I said, "We need to be clear about something." My voice stayed calm, not angry, not soft. If that woman ever again tells my grandbabies I don't love them, I'll file for a protective order. I will have it on paper. I won't say another word. I'll just do it. His face went pale. "Mama, please don't. She knows she was wrong." I shook my head slowly. "I don't care what she knows. I care what she does." The words landed like stones. For the first time, I saw understanding replace denial. He realized I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't a mother trying to scare him. I was a woman protecting her peace. We went back inside, and I pulled a manila envelope from the table. "This isn't about the old house," I said. "That's done. This is about what's next." Inside was a brochure for a small condo I'd already bought in my own name, close to a library, a park, and the marsh trail the kids loved. "This is Grandma's place," I told them. "This is where you can come anytime your daddy brings you. No asking permission." Chloe beamed. Mason nodded seriously, like he was memorizing the rule. Gavin's eyes filled with tears. "You didn't give up on us," he said quietly. "No," I answered. "I just stopped giving away what wasn't appreciated." Then I looked him square in the face. "You're going to raise your children standing on your own 2 feet. No more leaning on my money. No more waiting for me to fix your mess." He swallowed hard, then nodded. "Yes, ma'am." That ma'am wasn't habit. It was respect returning to its rightful place. "Your kids will inherit my love, my dignity, my name," I told him. "If you want them to inherit anything else, you'll have to earn it." When they packed up to leave, Chloe slipped a watercolor into my hand. 3 stick figures, me, her, and Mason, standing before a yellow house. 4 figures, if you counted the tiny dog she'd added. No Ophelia. I didn't point it out, but the message sat clear as gospel. Children know who's safe. Gavin lingered at the door. "Mama," he asked softly, "are we okay?" I smiled, tired but steady. "We're on probation, but we're talking. That's more than we had last week." I watched them drive away, their car shrinking down the road. The porch fan hummed above me, steady and sure. For the first time in months, quiet didn't mean lonely, it meant mine. I looked toward the water and said aloud, "Family only don't mean blood. It means the ones who let you be whole." Then I closed the door and locked it behind me, not from fear, but from closure. I had redrawn love's borders, and this time, they were written in peace, not pain. As I turned off the porch light, my phone buzzed again, an unknown number. No name, just a message that read, "You think this is over?" I froze, the marsh wind whispering through the screen door. Ophelia's shadow wasn't gone after all, and next time, she wouldn't come empty-handed.